right, up next in round 3 is the great game debate. That's where we, as 4 experts, will talk
four
about
or five.
Well, today it's 5.
Yeah.
Whereas we, as 5-ish experts, will discuss a game that is universally considered a great game, or maybe the debate is great. I don't know, sometimes the debate is great, but today we're going to debate the game Scythe, or Scythe, however you like to pronounce it. But it's a game that's, if you haven't played it, you've heard of it probably, but it plays 1 to 5 players and about 90 to 115 minutes, not to be exact. And Scythe, if you may not know, it's kind of a steampunk game. It's an engine building game set in an alternate history in the 1920s period, steampunk type ish, where it's about it's a time of farming and war, where people are turning like war machines into farming machines and etc. And it says broken hearts and rusted gears is what you're gonna. I don't know where the broken hearts come in, but
Popularity.
Yeah, what's that? The popularity track. We do use hearts on the popularity track. But anyway, each player represents a character from one of 5 factions in Eastern Europe who are attempting to earn their fortune and claim their faction stake in the land around the mysterious factory, which is in the center of the board. And this is a game that, when you look at it, it's got these really cool miniatures. Number one, has really cool miniatures. I'll admit that. And it's a game I kind of avoided because I thought this was a skirmish, dudes on a map type game. And it's really not. So we're going to all go and talk about what our feelings are about this game, and I'll start and we'll throw it around. But to me, yeah, I went into this with some really wrong expectations. I'm thinking this is, Risk 5.0. We're going to battle it out. We're going to, it's all about taking over land and dominating and all that. And it's not. This is really a Euro disguised as a skirmish game, because it's all about moving up on tracks. It's about collecting your resources. You are protecting those resources. So there is some of that. But a lot of it is just trying to outthink or think about what the other players are doing. And it's like Root, it's very asymmetric, almost to a detriment, because like Root, even though I like the game, I never know if anyone else is cheating or not, because I don't know what their powers are. And so you're so focused on your own board in a game like Scythe or a game like Root, where you're trying to make sure you're doing everything right. Lord knows what that guy way over on the other side of the table's doing. He's sure doing something right, because he's tearing me up. But that's the only problem I think I have with this game. Is I love the thanky Euro element to it. I love the limited skirmishing that there is, but it's also, you want to do it when the time is right, which I tried doing it when the time wasn't right, as Daniel will attest this last time we played. I got a little too aggressive and got beat back for it. And so that's the other part of it. There is that element, and it's almost like I almost turn into like an old Western where everybody's got their guns, nobody wants to necessarily use them, but I got my guns. If you're going to use yours, I'm going to use mine. That's kind of the way Scythe is with the way the skirmish works. And I think it's almost a realistic way of doing it, because you're representing factions that are just trying to survive, and you're not just out there trying to kill people. And so with that, I think it gets a passing grade for me. I definitely want to play it again. I do think you need to play as the same faction multiple times to get a feel of the game. To me, I wouldn't just switch back and forth with factions. I think that'll mess you up. But that's what I've got on Scythe. Why don't we let our guest go first this time? How about we throw it to Andrew and see what he has to say? Andrew, what do you say about Scythe, buddy?
All right, I like it. I'll say Scythe is my favorite Euro. I am not a huge fan of Euro games well, the problem with a Euro game by itself is that it has to be the feature of a game night. It's going to be 2 hours to play that thing, like 90 to 115 minutes. It's like 2 to 3 hours is what you'll be doing sitting with Scythe, just like any other Euro. And it's a great experience overall, I think. Again, my favorite Euro, because there's some engine building. It's all about, like you kind of alluded to, the threat of violence, like being able to, whip people with your combat cards and enough power that somebody doesn't want to attack you, trying to get to that factory and get events and other things like that and explore. So there are a lot of things you can do that don't really feel like, it doesn't feel like somebody is so far ahead or so far behind that you can't switch positions. There's not like a Kingmaker issue where the guy ahead is so far ahead that he can just stay that way. So it's interesting in this way, where there are these temporary alliances that form, and I like playing it at game night with more than 2 players. I personally prefer Scythe with 4 or 5 players. And the reason for that is because the turns go really quick. All it is take your top action and a bottom action. So you're thinking, should I move, gather resources, or whatever? And as soon as you decide the first thing, the next player can go, even though you still have this second action to, should I build a mech? Should I, upgrade something or whatever? That is in your head while the other players are taking their turns. And I really like that element about Scythe. So it's my favorite Euro to play with multiple players, because another Euro that I really love, Terraforming Mars, you add a third player, a fourth player, you're going to play a third hour and a fourth hour, just because it's a big game, especially if players are learning and that kind of thing. The one thing I really, really hate about it, in some cases you play with the wrong player with high analysis paralysis. Everything's playing real smoothly, and then you get to that guy and he's like, oh, what am I doing? Oh, what did you do? What did everyone else do? What should I do? It's like, dude, you've had like 15 minutes to think about this. Why are you just,
Andrew,
again,
did you come to Kansas last night?
I know, right?
I know what he's talking about is so annoying. I agree.
It's like the 9th round. You've had this has happened 9 times, Come on, Kevin, or whatever.
Yeah. Andrew, you don't even know it, but you're completely calling out Andy last night when we played Scythe. But and he knows it. He's well aware. But
I wanted to say something.
One thing I want to say though, you hold your tongue, son, Daniel. One thing I want to say is when you said that about, okay, you do your top action and then everybody can do whatever during your bottom action. I disagree, because my action is going to be move. Oh, well, I'm not going to move there now. You just threw a mech in there where I was going to invade. Oh, well, okay, I'm not going to invade now. So I found very few times, unless you're going to build a building, maybe. Then if you say I'm going to build a building, then yeah, go ahead and go about your turn. But so many of those, I think, kind of you have to see what that guy's going to do. There was times I wanted to go. I was like, I better see what Daniel's going to do, because Daniel likes to undercut me as any chance he can. So,
yeah. But
I don't know. That's just me, though. There are a lot of times that you can do that, but I don't think you do that universally for every secondary action. But
yeah, it's possible, and I think that for the most part, you've got the like if you're going to build a mech, like your intent is clear. It's like, I'm going to get that oil I need or whatever to do that. But yeah, I the one thing I really enjoy Scythe, like I said, but it doesn't play that well at 2 players.
I can't
which
imagine
a
playing
lot.
2 players.
Right. I mean, a lot of the games that I play, I actually like Catan better at 2 players than Scythe. Flip over a couple of those tiles and make it like tighter and that kind of. It's surprising, but I actually really like Catan at 2 players when you play but the problem is it just feels too big. The map feels too big. It's like you don't need to ever have any conflict. It's like I go to the factory first, I get my first factory card. You go to the factory next. You're going to kick me off that space. I'm just going to, use 1 power so that I can get some positive benefit and get kicked off and that kind of thing. There's no real threat of violence.
I think it's 3-player minimum is what I would say for sure. Chris, what are your comments about the game, buddy?
Yeah. So, and just to piggyback off what we were just talking about there about player count, like it is interesting. I never really thought about it till now. Like, yeah, it probably is not a great game that plays at 2, because again, the map is too big. That like most of those dudes in the map game, and again, it's not a dudes on the map game, but just go with it here, right? Like those play great at 2 and awful at 3, because the 2 people gang up on the third, and then it's just now it's a 3-player game for a couple of rounds, and then it turns into a 2-player game. But because this game is more of a Euro, more of a just standard Euro game than actually a dudes on the map, it actually plays better at 3, in my opinion, than it would at 2. If nothing else, just because of space, and also because it's not so much military focused. That I think you could actually play through this very well at 3. I've only played it once, and we played at, was it 4 or 5? I guess it was 5. We played it at 5, right? Yeah. We played it at 5, and this game kind of made me feel stupid. I'm going to be honest, because it took me it took me most of the game to see the matrix of this game, to understand how this action affects this action, and just the overall association of all of them. So, I mean, I have this. It's fairly normal, and I'm going to be honest. I think a lot of us feel this way, right? The first time we play a game, we don't see the matrix of how the game works more often than not till a good ways in. Some of us are brainiacs, and good for you, Randy. But anyways, largely, it takes us some time. So no, I really appreciated. At first, I kind of was like, it was just kind of slow. It didn't feel like it was going anywhere, again, because I hadn't seen The Matrix. But eventually, when I saw how everything affects everything, and I know Daniel tried to make a move where he upgraded like one thing early on, being like, I'm going to do that because when me or the guy on the other side of his shoulder does something else, he's going to get some bonuses for it. Mm-hmm. Well, it didn't work out because him and I, the other two, me and the other guy, didn't do it because we didn't know what we were doing in the game. But yeah, no, I was actually very surprised. This is the first time I got it to play. It was about a week ago, and yeah, I'm very much interested to play it again. I liked it a lot more than I thought, and the more I talk about it at this moment, I'm liking it more than I even thought about it. So yeah, it was very different, but yeah, it played really well. I really liked it. What do you think, Andy?
Clunky and unintuitive.
All right, Daniel,
and unintuitive. That was my first impression of Scythe, and I will tell you, I've only played it twice, and I realize now after playing it last night that the first time I played it, I don't think I even finished it. And I liked it better the second time. I did.
Oh, good.
Okay. I do admit that I started to think about it more and think about wanting to play more. However, that being said, I do have some real issues with the game. One is that I think I'm not a big fan of Euro games that try to have unequal characters that have
asymmetric powers.
Yeah, asymmetric powers, because I feel like that kind of ruins what I love about Euros. And what I love about Euros is that it is kind of chessy. It's got a bit of what's the word? I can't think of the word. It's just eluding me completely.
More strategy, less randomness, less luck.
Yes, right, exactly. Thank you. And that's what I like about some of my favorite Euros. So some of my favorite Euros are going to be games like Heaven and Ale, which has this tension and it's even and everybody can do the same thing. Really, there's not a whole lot of difference. And so with Scythe, it felt a little too chaotic with that. It is a game that I probably would like more the more I played it, because then I would actually know the characters and know the powers and know what's coming. But just as a game you just jump into, I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to try it again, but there's also a part of me that, like I said, it felt just a little bit too clunky. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand quite how it's such a highly rated game on BGG. That's what stands out to me. It looks beautiful. I love the mechs. And like I think John was saying, I thought it was going to be a skirmish war game based on the mechs. I really felt it was going to be more of that. And I like Euros, but I don't know, it just didn't quite mesh perfectly with me. I'll give it another try, and I'm happy to maybe see if it comes around for me. But right now, it's an average game. Daniel, how about you?
Andy, you could have, if you hated the asymmetric powers so bad, you could have refused to take those battle cards from me whenever we fought. That would have been all right.
I was still going to take advantage of the powers.
All right, Daniel, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, the asymmetric did cause an issue at one point too, because I was teaching the game, and the person to my right of me, he played the white faction, who they were able to ignore popularity loss when they attack workers if he upgraded that mech. So I was like, hey, you can invade workers, no problem. And he's there invading workers. And halfway through the game, I was like, oh, wait, don't have that power unlocked. I was like,
popularity.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, the asymmetricness can cause some confusion. But yeah, so this game, I wanted to like it more than I do. And to answer specifically what Andy said is, why do people like it so much? I think it is because it does bring something unique to the board game realm. And it's the thing I enjoy the most about the game. And that is that player board that you have. You have top actions, you have bottom actions. And one of the actions is called an upgrade action. It's a bottom action. And what you do is you can take a cube from the top and bring it to the bottom. And what that does is it makes your top actions more powerful, and it makes your bottom actions cheaper to do. So it's a really cool. And then as you're building buildings, you unlock a power. If you build a mech, you unlock a power. So there's a lot of variability and directions you can go with how you're going to upgrade your specific board. And I think that is really refreshing and exciting. But the problem with this game is I feel like it just has a bad lag time. I know Andrew said that he thought it was quick and snappy turns. Maybe it's because I was playing with a bunch of new people. Not just throwing Andy under the bus here, but the last 3 games I played were all with really new people. And with one of my friends, I even said, man, I feel like it lags at the end. And he goes, well, I feel like it lags at the beginning. And I was like, yeah, it might just lag the whole game. The reason it does that is because like I'm finding that I love combo games that build with combos. But what I don't like about combo games is when you see the combo in front of you, but you have to wait like 5 other people to go before you can do the next step in your combo. So you're like, oh, great, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And then this turn I do X. And you're like, okay, hurry up and take your turn so I can do Y.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do Y now. Okay, great. All right, hurry up and take your turn so I can do X and then, or Z. And then you get to do Z. And like it breaks the flow of the game for me. I don't like it when you have this really cool combo in your head and you're like, okay, I'm going to unlock that, which lets me do this, which is going to make this more powerful, which then will give me a star. But it's going to take me 20 minutes to do that. So I'm just going to wait here impatiently, listening to everybody talk and take too long on their turns for me to take a turn. So, in the end, it's an okay game for me. And I played it 3 times in a row this week even, and it still doesn't resonate with me. It's a fine game. I'm okay with it, but it doesn't strike the chord that I wanted from this game. So in the end, it's just a meh game to me.
Well, Daniel, I got a couple of things.
Oh, go ahead.
So at first, I think the main problem I hear from you is the problem of all. People don't play the same game over and over and over and over. I promise you, if you had the same group and you played this game 3 times, that 4th time is going to be snappy.
Yeah.
Play your games over and over. Don't just play new games over and over.
Yeah.
Also, second, the issue you're like, oh, I want to do my combo, but I got to do this piece and then I got to wait and I got to do this piece. In my opinion, that's because of modern game design where they're cutting up. Instead of having the age-old, I take 10-minute turns and then I wait 50 minutes for my next turn, they're cutting it up to where I take the 1 minute and go around. I take another minute, go around. So I think it's just modern game design that, like, which I still think is
very much
right
a Stegmaier thing, like a Stonemaier game thing, where that's like their thing. Like with Wingspan, with Scythe, with Tapestry, it's like do a thing, turns over.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I want to do 3
a lot of them do it, but yeah, that's true. Stonemaier does lean into it. That's for sure.
I think that's the ultimate. 3 to 4 things in a turn, and I'm good. Don't make me just do one thing and be like, gotta wait.
I don't mind having simple turns. What I had a problem with, again, is it felt too clunky and unintuitive. I go back to that. It just didn't feel natural to me. And the problem is by the time I figured out what I needed to do, because like you, Daniel, were saying, I could figure out like, okay, I need to do this, then I need to do this, then I need to do this. But that's going to take 3 or 4 turns. And I have so much ADD that I'm ready to do all that now, but by the time it gets back to me, I've forgotten what I was going to do again.
I think Daniel's also suffering from teach fatigue. And I think Chris, just to piggyback on what he said, I would love to play this game again with people that have already played it and are good at playing it, because that's, like you say, I think that's going to take away a lot of the clunkiness. It's going to take away a lot of it's going to streamline it. And like Daniel was saying, you're not going to lose your train of thought between turns. You're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. Because with him teaching 2 people between his turns, he's also like, and making sure Andy and I aren't screwing up, then he's also like forgetting what he's gonna do. So then he end up in last place, and I had no beef with that. He's like,
John was the definition of he knew just enough to be dangerous.
Just enough to be dangerous.
Andy, like, hey, you can actually just move your mechs anywhere you want. And I'm like, no, you can't. No, you can't. And then John's like, you can just take a card if you want. And I'm like, no, John, stop talking.
By the way,
focus on me. I can do me.
While I did take the most time out of the 3 of us that played, I won.
There we go. The war of attrition once again.
That's actually what I was going to say. I was going to accuse you of not liking it because you lost, but
well, I didn't win the full game. The funny thing is, we had 2 people that had never played it, and they did way better than all 3 of us that had played it. So
that
like
just
poker
shows you how good a
time.
teacher Daniel is. That's what that.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, that wraps up what we thought about Scythe. What are your thoughts on Scythe? I'm sure a lot of you out there have played it, have opinions on it, or would like to play it. Either way, let us know in the comments below, and make sure you like and subscribe.
Hey, thanks for watching a clip from Around the Board. It's a show that comes out every other Thursday where we discuss board games and board game topics. We're awarded points, and at the end, whoever wins gets to be on their soapbox and say whatever they want. So if you want to watch the full episode, find the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.